The station accepts no responsibility for statements made. Good morning, St. Kitts and Nevis, and welcome to The Edge here on ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM. I'm your host, Devon Cornelius, and thank you for joining me on the program for today, Friday, October 3rd, 2025. I'm Devon Cornelius, and it's good to be here to have a conversation with you. When we open the phone lines, you may call us at 465-1977 on 1903 or at 662-8674. Those are the numbers you call to lend your voice to the conversation at hand. Of course, this conversation is being carried live via our social media platforms. Check us out on our Facebook page at ZIZ Broadcasting Corporation and via YouTube at ZIZ Online. Let me also greet those of you who are listening from other parts of the world. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. And thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to join me here on today's edition of The Edge. We have just 1 hour, and so we're going to get into a conversation for today. And of course, I'd like to hear from you, our listeners. What's on your mind? What would you like to share today? It's Friday, and so we're going to keep it more of an open discussion, but of course respectful. Now, coming up next week, St. Kitts and Nevis will be celebrating World Mental Health Day. That will be on the 10th, next week, Friday. And in Nevis, the Behavioral Health and Wellness Center is hosting a week of activities to commemorate World Mental Health Day, observed each year on October 10th. And those activities kick off this coming Sunday, October 5th, at the United Pentecostal Church there in Marion Heights. That's right next to or below the education building, the education department, and the service commences at 11 a.m. Then on the 7th, they have in partnership with the Bank of Nevis Limited and Taiwan ICDF, they will be having a health screening on Tuesday, October 7th, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Cotton Ginnery Mall there in Charlestown. And so the public is encouraged to go and get their health checks done. Then on Friday, October 10th, World Mental Health Day, you are encouraged to wear something green, as green is the color used for the observation of World Mental Health Day. Then the Behavioral Health and Wellness Center and Republic Bank will be hosting a Let's Get Physical walk on Saturday, October 11th from 5:30 a.m. starting at the Malcolm Gishard Recreational Park, heading over to the Bypass Road, passing Government Road, going onto Pump Road, which takes you around the roundabout, going into town, onto the Samuel Hunkins Drive, into the Bayfront, and continue along Pinney's Estate, back to the Malcolm Gishard Recreational Park, where it ends. And of course, you're encouraged to wear something green, as that is the color used for the observance of World Mental Health Day. Of course, for more information, you may contact Macmillan Coffee or Aldane Claxton at the center at 469-5614, or email macmillan.coffee@niagovkn.com or aldane.claxton@niagovkn.com. That is the Behavioral Health and Wellness Center there in Nevis, hosting a number of activities in commemoration of World Mental Health Day, celebrated each year on October 10th. And the theme for the celebration is community. It's one word, but I think that's a very impactful theme. It focuses on the importance of the community supporting each other, us supporting each other during times of distress. And so the theme for this year, a celebration in St. Kitts and Nevis, is community. For those of you who are just tuning in, you're listening to The Edge on ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM. Now, also in the month of October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And groups and organizations in St. Kitts and Nevis usually host month-long activities or a week of activities in commemoration of or to bring about awareness about breast cancer and I believe other forms of cancer. And so the Pink Lily Cancer Foundation, every year they have a walk around this time. And of course, the proceeds from that walk go towards assisting people who have been diagnosed with breast cancer, and I believe other forms of cancer. I stand to be corrected, but specifically breast cancer. And so I'm encouraging you to join them on the 18th in Nevis. That's Saturday, October 18th, for their annual walk. And so it's Mental Health Month, Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and so we're going to be seeing lots of persons dressed in pink and lots of persons dressed in green for breast cancer and World Mental Health Day, or let me say World Mental Health Month. We'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll continue the conversation here on The Edge. Stay with us. I'll be right back.
Tune into ZIZ, the nation station, keeping your company at home, work, or on the go. We play today's hits and yesterday's favorites, bringing you the latest information and entertainment. Want to advertise with us? We have television and 2 radio stations to help get the word out. Call us now at 465-2621 and let us help you reach your audience. ZIZ, the nation station, your source for music, news, and more.
The views and opinions expressed.
Foodies are hungry and they're looking for you. Get your restaurant or food spot on the hottest shows, The Morning Show and The Edge, at the perfect time when stomachs are growling and cravings are real. Twice a day, boom, your name, your flavors, front and center. Plus, we're throwing in a sweet bonus deal to give you even more airtime. Don't get left behind. Get featured on Taste on the Town. Call 869-662-8203 or hit up sales@zzonline.com. and let's feed the island with your deliciousness.
The views and opinions expressed by participants and callers during this program are solely their own and do not necessarily reflect the views, opinions, or policies of ZIZ Broadcasting Corporation, its management, or sponsors. The station accepts no responsibility for statements made. Welcome back to The Edge on ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM. I'm Devon Cornelius, and thank you for joining me on the program for today. I also want to use this opportunity to congratulate St. Kitts and Nevis on their participation in... Have a caller? All right. Let me stick a pin, and we'll take our first call for the morning. Caller, you're on the air. Good morning.
No,
Yes, caller, go ahead. You're on the air.
market is not working over 6 months now. You hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing you. Go ahead. Yes, caller, I'm hearing you. Hello? Yes, caller, go ahead. I'm hearing you. Hello?
Walk in.
Okay, I'm not. It's not coming through. All right, caller, you can call us back at 465-1996. Sorry, 1977. 465-1977 or 1903-662-8674. Before the call came in, I wanted to offer congratulations to St. Kitts and Nevis. I think it's Mary Shelford from St. Kitts and Kayla Claxton of Nevis on their participation in this year's Caribbean Tourism Youth Congress, or the Regional Tourism Youth Congress, which took place in Barbados. And congratulations to Tobago on securing this year's position. So after an afternoon of spirited debate with some of the brightest young people from across the region, Jolie St. John, 16 years of age, from Tobago, emerged as the winner of the Caribbean Tourism Organization Regional Tourism Youth Congress, with forward-thinking ideas to shape the future of Caribbean tourism. Second place was awarded to Khalida Lewison, Junior Minister of Tourism for Jamaica, while Ilani Morris Seymour, Junior Minister of Tourism for the Cayman Islands, proudly secured third place, rounding out an inspiring top three. An honorary mention also went to Isaiah Toney, the Junior Minister of Tourism for St. Vincent and the Grenadines, who received a special recognition prize for demonstrating outstanding qualities not included in the original scoring rubric. The Youth Tourism Congress continues to showcase the creativity, passion, and vision of the next generation of Caribbean leaders, proving that the future of tourism is in excellent hands. And so once again, congratulations to Mary Shelford of St. Kitts and Kayla Clarkson of Nevis on their participation in this year's Caribbean Tourism Youth Congress. The Caribbean Tourism Youth Congress is near and dear to my heart, as I was the Junior Minister of Tourism for Nevis from 2017 to 2018, and I participated in the Regional Tourism Youth Congress in Grenada in 2018. It is a highly competitive competition where a number of young people from across the Caribbean region come together and share very transformative and exciting ideas as it relates to the future of Caribbean tourism. And you are presenting these ideas, these plans, to a panel of expert judges from across the region, people who have dedicated their entire lives to Caribbean tourism and hospitality, business, marketing, media, and the list goes on and on. And so you present these ideas to them, and at the end of it all, they choose the top three persons. Now, the competition allows you, I think, I don't know if they've changed it now, but when we were doing it back in 2017, 2018, you were allowed to make a presentation about 2 to 3 minutes. And then there was the mystery topic segment where you pull a question out of a bag and you have to respond, give a response to that question right there on the spot in 1 minute. And so it was a wonderful experience. And again, it tested your knowledge about Caribbean tourism and what we offer here as a region. So again, kudos to our participants for that wonderful exposure. Apart from participating in the actual competition, it serves as an opportunity for these young people to build relationships and build bridges with not just their peers, but people who work in the tourism and hospitality industry. A couple of years from now, they may meet up and continue to build on that relationship. So it's a great opportunity for networking, and I trust and hope that this competition continues to grow and grow as the years go by. The phone lines are open and we're taking your calls at 465-1977. We have a call on the line. A caller, you're on the air. Good morning.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead.
Morning, Devon.
Yes, good morning.
The cold storage on the market, in the public market, not working now for over 6 months.
The cold storage?
Yes. Where the traders, where we store we meat. It's not working for over 6 months.
Sorry to hear about that.
So
And-
find out what happened.
All right. Well, thank you for bringing that to the public's attention.
And the other thing is that the road, something either wrong with the soil or something wrong with the color. Because the road them just keep cracking up. You hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing you. Yes, go ahead.
Okay.
All right.
That is that. We got all them engineers. Something wrong. Either something wrong with the soil or something wrong with the color. So, because the road just keep cracking up, new road and so on. Okay, thank you.
All right, caller. Thank you so much for sharing
So
your...
find out from them because we got so much engineer.
All right, caller. Thank you so much for your contribution to the program. The phone lines remain open at 465-1977 or 1903 or 662-8674. For those of you just tuning in, you're listening to The Edge here on ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM. It's 11:21. Caller, thank you for sharing that with the general public, and I trust that those of you who utilize the area were also able to lodge a complaint or report with the whether it be the Ministry of Agriculture or the relevant department responsible for addressing that. But 6 months, as you were suggesting, is quite a long time for something like that to be out of commission. The phone lines are open and we're taking your calls. Call us 465-1977 or 1903 or 662-8674. We're taking your calls. Add your voice to the conversation at hand. I was just congratulating the young people on their participation in the Tourism Youth Congress, and as I was saying, I hope it is something that continues to grow each year, and schools in St. Kitts and Nevis continue to train and expose our young people to these opportunities, as they are wonderful opportunities for professional and personal growth and development. You travel across the region and you meet, I would say, like-minded individuals, people who are thinking about the future of the Caribbean and thinking about the future of our tourism. And even as we focus on sustainable development, thinking about sustainable tourism and how we can continue to offer more than just the sand and the beaches and the sunshine, but what more can we offer as Caribbean when we're talking about Caribbean hospitality and tourism? And so the Tourism Youth Congress, which forms part of the State of the Tourism Industry Conference, is a breeding ground for creative minds and a breeding ground for Caribbean leaders, not just in tourism, but for Caribbean leaders to sit at the decision-making table and decide the future as it relates to tourism, agriculture, education, entrepreneurship, security, and the list goes on. So again, I'm calling on our schools here in St. Kitts and Nevis, the Ministries of Education, to continue to expose our young people to these opportunities. You can't lose. You definitely cannot lose. You can only gain. You can only go up. You can only win from having our young people participate in these competitions. So if they have expressed interest, go right ahead. If they have not expressed interest, try to have a conversation with them. I remember when I was participating, I didn't go up and say that I was interested. Ms. Claxon came to me and she said, I think I would like for you to enter the Tourism Youth Congress. And I was like, me? I don't know about the Tourism Youth Congress. And I participated and was named Junior Minister of Tourism for Nevis. So you never know. You never know. So give young people the opportunity and they might just surprise you. It's 11:25 and you're listening to The Edge here on ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM. The National Assembly will be meeting on Monday. That is this coming Monday at 10 a.m. And on the docket or on the agenda item is the Eastern Caribbean Citizenship by Investment Regulatory Authority Agreement Bill. And that will be debated on Monday. Parliament will be live from 10 and it will be live here on ZIZ Radio and other participating radio stations. Of course, copies of the bills, as soon as they are made available, can be found on the website sknis.gov.kn, or it can also be accessed via the Facebook page, St. Kitts Nevis Information Service. We'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll continue our conversation here on The Edge. Stay with us.
For life's finest moments, celebrate them with Skoal Premium Lager. Pure malt, pure class, pure perfection. Skoal, class and perfection in a bottle.
Welcome back to The Edge on ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM. We'll talk about something that we have not touched on, or something that you probably have not heard about for quite some time, and that has to do with the fair share. I came across a report from the Department of Information in the Nevis Island Administration that reads, with the headline reads, NIA and federal government close to agreement on CBI revenue fair share. It reads, and I quote, Premier the Honorable Mark Brantley has announced that the government of St. Kitts and Nevis and the Nevis Island Administration NIA are close to reaching an agreement on the long-standing fair share citizenship by investment CBI revenue sharing issue. Quote, and this is a quote from the Premier, we have had some progress because the question of the numbers aside for the moment, I think what we determined was more important was the framework for sharing. We can quibble over whether the statistics were correct. Has there been progress? Yes, because the Prime Minister has recently discussed with me that he wants to move with some alacrity to a percentage basis for sharing the revenue. He had to leave to go off to the UN, and so I'm hopeful that when he's back we can engage further. And that percentage basis is, in my humble opinion, long overdue, because there was always a framework for it. So we'll have to have that discussion and that debate and to determine how we now move forward. End quote. He said at his monthly press conference on September 30th. That would have been his recent press conference. The article further reads, reflecting on past delays, Premier Brantley, who is the Minister of Finance in the NIA, noted that some people had criticized him for saying that the issue could have been worked out quickly, even by a sixth former. He explained that in his view, the World Bank was never necessary and had initially been engaged merely to delay the process. When the government took over in St. Kitts, it claimed that the World Bank was already involved and therefore continued the engagement. He cited the Charlestown Accord of 2013, signed by the late Honorable Vance Amory, the Honorable Dr. Timothy Harris, and the Honorable Sean Richards, with the Honorable Sean Richards at that time, now Dr. Sean Richards. which included a pro rata sharing formula for CBI revenues based on population. He pointed out that the World Bank had provided various scenarios, but stated they preferred a pro rata share. Premier Brantley illustrated the potential impact of an earlier agreement, noting that if Nevis had received 25% of CBI revenues at a time when the program was generating $600 million a year, that share would have amounted to $150 million for the island. He explained that instead Nevis initially received $2 million a month, or $24 million for the year, and that this amount gradually increased to $5.5 million, or $66 million for the year. The Premier went on to say, and I quote, "Now I am not going to stand up here and be ungrateful because $66 million for the year is a far cry from nothing, which is what we used to get before. But if we were getting a percentage when CBI revenues were flooding the streets of Bastia, you realize that $66 million in comparison to the $150 million I just mentioned, that the 25% would yield. Because if it was 25%, for example, and we were to go back in time, just like our sister St. Kitts, I would have been proud to stand up in a parliament and say surplus after surplus after surplus. But in truth, we were not able to say that because while St. Kitts was saying surplus, Nevis was saying overdraft. Yet more overdraft, more debt, because we were not afforded a fair share of the revenue streams. Interesting. Acknowledging the current realities, he added that CBI receipts today were naturally much lower than in previous years, and therefore a percentage-based share now would not yield Nevis what a similar percentage would have produced in earlier years. Looking ahead, Premier Brantley expressed optimism that with the new relationship between Bastia and Charlestown, the two islands could move past these types of issues. Let me read that again. Let me see if you understand. Looking ahead, Premier Brantley expressed optimism that with the new relationship between Bastia and Charlestown, the two islands could move past these types of issues. He acknowledged that the past could not be changed, but he believes it is possible to consecrate the future. He said, and I quote, "It is for us to work together in goodwill to see how we can move these two islands forward and to ensure that the people of Nevis and the people of St. Kitts benefit equally from the fruits of their citizenship. And that is and has always been my position on the matter. But as I said, there has been some movement. We now have a proposal of a share, and when the Prime Minister returns, I hope to engage further to come to some conclusion on the matter." You know, as I read this statement, I am reminded of my position. This was, what year we in? 2025? This was probably 2021 or 2022, when my good friend Sylvine and quite others, man, they had me to kill. They say, you as an individual not in support of fair share? You know, some people wanted to revoke my, well, you don't have Nevis citizenship, you think it's Nevis, but if they could have, they probably would have revoked my Nevision citizenship. Because what the Premier is saying here now is what I said in 2021. I said that, and what he's alluding to, let me say that, we are here we are going back and forth over CBI, right? CBI then and CBI now is susceptible to what's happening on the international stage. And so, for example, this year you get $600 million and next year you get $400 million. You cannot really predict what you are going to get each year. Well, you can predict, but it is not guaranteed that you are going to get $600 million a year. You might get $600 million this year. Next year you might get $400 million because the landscape keeps changing. It keeps changing. The things happening in the international scene and so on. And so back in 2021, 2022, I made the point, why are we here making a whole issue over this, talking about fair share? We're fighting for something that we don't even know going to be here tomorrow. Why not focus on other industries, other areas of the economy that we could really position ourselves, that we know we can make a living from this? Do we throw all of our eggs into one basket, that being the CBI? What do we do next year when we lose revenue from the CBI? I was saying that, and everybody had me to kill. We have a caller? Let's take this call. Caller, you're on the air. Good morning.
I'm on the air. Thank you. I hear listening about fair share. But I want to remind the general public that we always have a problem whenever you come to a Labour Party with fair share with St. Kitts and Nevis. If you got to check back from Gratian with Bratcher days until today, Labour Party never like Nevis, never been honest, bunch of liars. And we got to realize that Nevis will never get a fair share from a Labour Party. Never ever. And I want you all to go back to history. And we search through history and see what I'm telling you all. And since we watch this and to today, and history must repeat itself again. Thank you.
All right, caller, thank you for your contribution to the program. You're listening to The Edge. The phone lines remain open, and we're taking your calls at 465-1977. Well, I'm looking back at what the Premier said here, and the Premier said so this is after they signed the Charleston Accord of 2013, right? Team Unity came into office 2015. Nevis wasn't getting fair share then. So there was no fair share in 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019. I could go on. So I don't know if there's any truth to what he said. I'm just citing what the Premier said here in this article by the Department of Information. So it appears as if fair share has never been arrived at. We're getting there, but we've never gotten there. But the point I'm making is that I was saying this. We and this is not me saying then and even now that no administration in Nevis should ask for a fair percentage of the program. But do not make it a case where you're asking for that percentage to be your mainstay, for that to be your meat for your food. Let that be the gravy and the chicken. We have a caller. Caller, you're on the air. Good morning.
Yes, I'm on the air again. Because you called some years from 2013 up to when Unity were in. I want to remind you all, also it was a Labour man, a leader of a Labour Party in power called itself Unity. So there will never be a fair share under a Labour administration. That want to remind the people.
All right.
I will listen after you.
All right, caller. Thank you so much. Thank you for your contribution to the program. We have a caller on the air. Caller, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Good morning, Devon.
Yes, good morning. How are you doing?
Yes. You've been quoting the Premier. Well, one quote I think you missed was the fact that when he was in a unity arrangement, he was saying that he was being treated the best ever. Okay?
Yes, he did
So
say that.
It seems, if that changed now, it seems as if it's opportunism. It's opportunistic to me. Right? What we should be concentrating on is arriving at an arrangement that survives the vagaries of changes in personalities and political parties in government. Okay? Making sure that things are ironclad, that whoever is in power in the islands, right? The people of both islands feel that they have a vested interest in whatever proceeds are collected and that everything is done fairly. Okay, we can't be going back and forth with this nonsense. One time we're not getting fair share, next time, well, it's better. Next time it's the best ever. That's a strange way to govern a country.
Right.
Okay? And so let's hope that this is not swept under the carpet for convenience, because it's convenient now, based on the politics of the island at present. Let's hope that we use that formula presented as a framework to negotiate something more permanent, because it gives stability to both islands. Okay, that's what I'm thinking.
Well, and Carlo, you are spot on, and you're correct with what the Premier said, that the relationship in those years were the best, right? In one of his quotes here, in the article says that the Premier said that he is optimistic that with the new relationship between Basti and Charlestown, that the two islands could move past these type of issues. Now, I could only take that to mean that we ain't gonna really make too much noise about the CBI thing or the fair share thing. We're gonna move on and we're gonna talk about something else. I don't know how you take that to me. What is your interpretation of that?
Those are things that are said that are vague, that sounds nice, but does not solve the issue. It's kicking the can down the road. Roll up your sleeves and get to work and have something done, right? And stop this projecting that, well, things are going to seem as if it's going to be better. Forget the past. Things are going to be better. We know that's not how it works. We know that the past always comes up. If you don't deal with the past as well as the present, the future not going to look good. Just mouthing off a lot of platitudes and saying, things. He's optimistic that things going to get better. Isn't going to make it get better. Doesn't work that way. Yeah. All right,
Carla. Thank you so much for your contribution to the program. It is 11:43, and you're listening to The Edge here on ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM. I'm Devon Cornelius, and thank you for joining me in the program for today. Call us at 465-1977 or 1903 or 662-8674. For those of you who are just tuning in, we're on the topic of we're back on the topic of the fair share, because this is a topic that we have not discussed or talked about or heard about for quite some time. But I'm reading an article here from the NIA, and it says that the NIA and the federal government are close to agreement. But I'm reading this, and it's carrying me all the way back to 2022, 2021, when I was saying, man, we here making noise about CBI. Why not we try to, find other ways of diversifying the economy instead of trying to put all of our basket? Because in the quote here, right, the Premier said that acknowledging the current realities, he added that CBI receipts today were naturally lower or much lower than in previous years, and therefore a percentage-based share now would not yield Nevis what a similar percentage would have produced in earlier years. What does that mean? What does that mean? So that means that in previous years we would have gotten 25% would have been $150 million. 25% this year will not be $150 million. Does that mean we should not ensure that there's a framework in place to ensure that that is distributed or dispersed or whatever the case may be? But I've been saying this from the beginning. Yes, there should be an equitable share of the resources between the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. I am not going to argue over that. But putting all of your eggs in one basket, because as you can see, the receipts from the CBI are much lower. And I don't really see it as something alarming, because we know that the CBI is susceptible to international scrutiny and politics. And so this year you collect $10, next year you collect $2.50, then the year after that you collect $1.25. That is how the program is. You're going to have the good years and the bad years, the years when you make a lot of money, the years when you're scraping. That is how the program is. So if that is how the program is, why are you trying to have your major services or needs of the country packed on top of that program? That don't make no sense. Anybody would tell you that makes absolutely no sense. Because then you can't be using the word sustainability and stability. Those words have to be put on the back burner. Because nothing about that is stable or sustainable. Nothing. Phone lines are open and we take your calls. 465-1977-1903 or 662-8674. I think you have a call on the line. So we'll take this call today. The caller, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Yes. Just for clarification, the request for help assistance from the World Bank, was it to do specifically with the CBI or was it revenue sharing?
Good question. Let me go back. Let me go back to confirm that. Go ahead while I try to confirm that, caller.
Because you see, if it's specifically for just the CBI, that would have been much too narrow. Because suppose next year Nevis has some windfall in something. What happens now? Okay. So I would hope.
Okay, not to cut you off, right? But in this article, from my understanding of it, it is referring to the CBI program. But I think
very short-sighted.
Yeah, but I would want to believe that he was really referring to revenue sharing, which is the broader aspect of it. But in this article, it appears as if it is referring specifically to, or maybe this was misworded or written wrong, whatever. But it's referring in this article to the CBI program.
Okay. Well, that's very unfortunate because things like, for instance, the revenue sharing from geothermal, as an example, the new SSZ project, those kinds of things, those could end up with really windfall situations. And what happens then? Back to more bickering? That is why I say it's short-sighted. And it should have been more expansive to deal generally with how, resource and revenue sharing between the two islands, you know?
Instead of just focusing on the CBI.
Instead of focusing on the CBI. That was very short-sighted, I think. Yeah.
All right, Carla, thank you so much for your contribution for that. It is 11:50. I mean, you are absolutely correct because you if it is that it focused solely on the CBI, so you've brought in all of this expert. I don't know if the World Bank was approached pro bono, but you brought in this expert, out of this expertise, to focus specifically on a program that you don't even know if you're going to have next year. Don't make no sense. It makes no sense. So I understand the point you're making, Carla, looking at the broader picture, revenue sharing across the board. But I stand to be corrected. I would want to believe that it focused on revenue sharing across the board. But in this article, my interpretation of it is that it focused on the CBI, because it says here, are close to reaching an agreement on the long-standing fair share CBI revenue sharing issue. So the revenue sharing issue as it relates specifically to CBI. That is what I'm getting from this article. I think we can take some more calls at 465-1977 or 1903 or 662-8674. For those of you who are just tuning in, you're listening to The Edge here in ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM. I'm Devon Cornelius, your host, and thank you for joining me on the program for today. Great conversation that we are having thus far, and it is on this much talked about issue of fair share, whether it is a fair share across the board of every single thing or is a fair share of the CBI program. But yes, fair share, which has been talked about for more than a decade. We're seeing here the Charleston Accord, which was, I would say, just a piece of paper signed between 3 or 4 or 5 whoever gentlemen, saying that this is what we are going to do when we get into office. We saw what happened there. But the Charleston Accord of 2013 was where the conversation, what should I say, reignited. Because we've been talking about fair share for a long time. So let me correct myself and say that is where the conversation reignited for a sharing formula of the CBI revenue based on population. So the population size of St. Kitts and Nevis. The World Bank had been approached, I believe, by the former administration. And when this new administration took office, they decided, let's just let the World Bank continue what they are doing. What the Premier has reported here that the NIA and the federal government are close to an agreement on CBI revenue fair share. I think the Prime Minister sometime as well also mentioned that the report has been received. They've received the report from the World Bank as it relates to the CBI fair share matter. And so we're hoping to hear from the Prime Minister soon as well on the agreement on the CBI fair share issue. But this issue has been, what should I say? It's been more than just much talked about. It's one that gets people very emotional and riled up. Over the years, it has caused or it has created some very heated debates in our country. If we have a caller, we'll take our final call for the morning. No? We have a caller? All right, okay. It's 11:54. We have room for one more call. 465-1977 or 1903 or at 662-8674. Those are the numbers you call to lend your voice to the conversation at hand. You are listening to The Edge. Just 5 minutes left. If I can do a quick recap of our discussion for today, I shared some details from the Behavioral Health and Wellness Center there in Nevis. They are hosting a week of activities in commemoration of World Mental Health Day, observed each year on October 10th. And the activities kick off from this coming Sunday, where they will be having a church service Then I believe on the Tuesday, they're going to have a health screening there at the Cotton Ginnery Mall, and that is happening in collaboration with the Bank of Nevis Limited. Then they have a health walk in collaboration with Republic Bank, and on the Friday, they are encouraging persons to wear green, which is the color used in observation of World Mental Health Day. And then later this month, they're having Pink Lily Foundation is having a health walk, and that will be on October 18th. That's Saturday, October 18th. And of course, the proceeds from this walk go towards helping fight cancer, breast cancer. So those of you on Nevis and those of you here in St. Kitts are encouraged to cross the waters and join us for that walk. You've been listening to The Edge here on ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM. I've been your host, Yvonne Cornelius, and thank you so much for joining me in the program for today. It's been a wonderful conversation, and see you on Tuesday, because on Monday, they'll be having Parliament beginning at 10 a.m. So, hope to be back on Tuesday for us to continue this conversation. Coming up at noon is our midday newscast. So, stay tuned.